Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rev It Up's Under the Helmet series. This is now episode 5. We have a special guest on here today who has 11 features, 5 wins, 10 top 5s, and 11 top 10s, and a streak of 4 wins in a row at the Winneshiek Raceway. And that driver is the driver of the 476XX, that is Skylar Hovey. Long ways out from now, folks, but put on your calendar, September 6th, the Tri-State Late Models will invade the Cresco Speedway along with the USRA Modifieds Racing for $1,000 to win. That's all at the Cresco Speedway, and racing along with them are other USRA classes racing for national points. That's all at the fastest track in Northeast Iowa. See you at the races. Are you looking for speed on the track? Well, I have a solution for you. And that solution is Rage X. Get a hold of Harley Dice or Jake Tim today. They make B mods and A mods. And the best thing about Rage X is they don't just give you your car and send you off. They give you technical support with everything you need. And they're racers too. They'll help you throughout the season. So find your speed with Rage X chassis. You can find them at Rage X on Facebook. Let's get into Rev It Up now. Skylar, what do you have to say for yourself tonight?
I'm excited to be on the podcast. Ready to get talking.
So, Skylar, you're a young guy. How old are you?
I'm 14 years old right now.
So, at what age do you start racing?
So I started racing tuners. at the end of my 5th grade year in school. So I think I was 11 when I started racing.
So, a lot of guys start now at a very young age. Oh, what do you think goes into starting at such a young age?
I just think the parents are trying to get their kids into racing at a young age to try to get them really good for when they get older. Because I know my dad, he really wanted to watch me race. He got rid of all of his stuff, and the plan was to not race at all. But then one day we were out to eat, and he just showed me a picture, and it was a tuner. He said he got it for me. So, and I think most parents are just wanting to get their kids into it when they're at a young age to just set them up better.
So, growing up watching your dad, did you know that you always wanted to race?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's always been a thing for me. There's no doubt about it.
So you only race tuners, and what's the driving difference styles like from a tuner to an eco mod?
Man, it's a big difference. They're front wheel drive, so it's just pulling the car around almost. Can't really get them sideways, and then they're only 4 cylinders, so you're probably going about 50 to 60 miles an hour. So you're not going too slow, but on the track compared to the bigger cars, they look slow. So yeah, they're just a lot slower. They don't really get sideways like the mod does. Now we're rear wheel drive, so it's just kind of pushing the car around. Got to counter steer a lot. So I've been having fun. It's pretty fun going faster.
Would you say that the mod or the eco mod, would you say you have to use both feet driving in the eco mod, or is that more of a B mod to modified thing?
I think it's a thing for everything. I drove 2 feet ever since first practice session ever in a race car. So I was driving 2 feet in a tuner car.
What lessons does your dad teach you that might help some other people that might be listening, that you could give them a little secret that might not give them a competitive advantage over you?
Oh my- he gives me a lot of advice. I mean, just from last year to this year, it was a big jump. I always was horrible on the throttle. I just like to come off the corners wide open and just spin my tires. Because I thought that was fast. It sounded fast to me, but no. This year, I think the second race of the year, third race of the year, I really figured out how to kind of stay smooth on the throttle and use the brakes more and just feather it coming out and not spin my tires. And ever since that happened, we've just been on a roll.
So what you were talking about your dad selling his everything, and now he's got a B mod again. Would you say you're a part of him having a B mod again?
There's no correct answer to that. Even if he didn't have me, he would figure out a way to get a race car. I know he said he wanted to pay attention to me and focus on me, but I think him watching the races more just made him want to get back out there.
You think he would say that if he has it, he can kind of go out there and tell you how the track conditions are and help you out better?
Oh yeah, he could tell me if I gotta slow down a little bit. He could tell me if it's a little slick. He could tell me if there's ruts. Yeah, I like watching him. It helps me understand how to race more. I feel like that's been a big part about this year is just watching him race competitively with some of the best around.
So, what's it like being in the Hovey racing tree? You know, your dad's a national champion, and your grandpa was a heck of a wheelman too. What's it like h- carrying the family tradition down to the next generation?
It's I don't know how to say it. It's kind of like almost like everyone's just hoping that I'm good. Like I kind of got to carry it on. It feels like so it's a lot of weight on my shoulders, but I also got one of the best racers to set up my car for me, so it helps me out a lot having dad because he definitely knows what he's doing with setup. So
Do you feel like you have a lot of people in the grandstands that now look to you as their favorite driver that your dad was their favorite driver growing up, and now you're their new favorite driver?
I hope so because that's definitely how I looked at racers when I was just in the stands a couple years ago. But I mean, there's a good chance that people that watched my dad and loved him, there's a good chance they love me now watching me race. So yeah, I'd say so.
So, watching people in the stands growing up, what were some of your favorite memories growing up watching in the stands, traveling around, watching your dad winning national championships? And what were your favorite memories from growing around the state and maybe even the country watching your dad race?
I don't know. I think it was more just like I always liked cars. So I've always been a big car thing, and then ever since racing was introduced, it was just like, yeah, I like cars even more now. So, and then every time I'd go to the races, I'd always have a bunch of friends playing football, and then I didn't know much about cars really, so I didn't know like how special they were. Like I just liked them, so I was just mainly just goofing around, I'd say.
So, did you admire anybody growing up, maybe besides your dad? Like anybody when you go to the track and you know they'd be racing against your dad, knowing that that's going to be the guy to beat, or maybe in the different division that growing up you'd always have to, not go back to the pits. You'd have to watch him race. Who was that guy back in the day for you?
Man, I if we're talking about local guys, I like watching Braden Schaffenfield because I knew he was younger and I like to watch him. I knew he was close. He was about one of the youngest guys out there, and fast forward a couple years later, now we're like best friends. So yeah, I'd say if I wasn't cheering for dad, it was probably Braden in the tuner class.
Who's your guy in like the national ranks, like like late models?
I think my guy would be Turbo. I think he's sweet. He's wild.
You feel like you have the wild side on you too? You don't care if you throw a fender at somebody, you just get up and go again, just don't worry about it after the race?
I think I'm the complete opposite. I'm too scared to drive wild. I'm too scared to run into people yet. And I don't know. I try to stay as clean as I can. I leave a lot of space between me and cars. So
So let's go back to your first race in a tuner. What were the nerves like racing your first race, and where was that first race at?
it was at West Union, and I was pretty nervous. I was really nervous. I was crying going around the track, and then on the start, I go into the first corner. I was staying with the pack, and I think I smoked Dalton Fells. He's still racing tuners, and I talked to him a lot still. But I think going into my first corner ever in the first feature race, I ran to Dalton Fells, and then I pushed all the way across the track and smoked Braden Schaffengill. So yeah, that was my first lap ever in a car.
So you were kind of like the wrecking ball of the tuners at the beginning, but then you straightened her out and you got a couple wins. What was it like to get your first wins in the tuner division?
Man, I don't know. Last year we only had the one win in a tuner, or 2 years ago it was. I we were starting fourth at West Union. I think it was the three people ahead of me were Josh Hills, Noam Large, and Dalton Fells. So I didn't have any hope coming into the race. I hate to admit it. I had no hope, nothing at all, because it was the three fastest guys besides Braden Schaffenbiel was behind me. But I ended up taking the lead in a couple laps, and I was just so nervous. I don't even know how to explain it.
And then you moved up and did some eco mod racing last year. What was it like your first time out in an eco mod to some people that are thinking about maybe moving up to the next level so they can kind of know what it feels like to change?
Well, we weren't really gonna go to a mod yet, but we got a really good deal on a car with it didn't have too bad of stuff. It was just not a really good chassis. The chassis was all bent, but we bought it. Dad bought that for me, and I was practicing shifting up and down the gravel roads, and I couldn't get out of high gear one time, and I was just doing donuts in the yard because I couldn't stop. So it was definitely a big change. And then my first lap ever, I smoked the wall really hard. So yeah, that wasn't a great experience.
And then fast forward to 2026, you're leading the points at the Winneshiek Raceway. And what goes into, just having such a successful season? Do you put any work on maybe iRacing over the off season or a racing simulator of some sort?
No, just uh, I never really play any racing games. I had World of Outlaws, and I had a steering wheel at one point, but the steering wheel broke, and then they came out with a new World of Outlaws, and I hadn't got that yet, so I just quit playing it.
So what goes into, winning 4 feature races in a row and trying to make it 5 here tomorrow night at the Winneshiek County Fair race?
Man, I ever since last year we were changing the car after every hot lap session, after every heat race. During the week, Dad'd come home, we'd change the car again after the feature, and it's just I was sick of the changes. I hated driving a different car every night, but now coming into this year, we had a good jump. We had a good start to kind of start ourselves out. We had a pretty good setup in, and then the first three races, I think it was, we were changing the setup, and we knew we were close. Changed a little bit more, and then it was a rocket, and we haven't really changed much since.
So you got 4 feature wins or 4 feature wins in a row, but tomorrow night at the fair, I mean, you almost got 2 feature wins at Cresco competing with Kelch there, but what does it mean to race during the county fairs? I mean, the crowds are just full. What's it mean to win at a county fair if you could get that done tomorrow night?
Man, it's huge. I've always wanted to win a fair. I like the atmosphere. It's just you got all the lights in the background from all the rides, and there's a lot of people in the stands. So it just makes you feel even better if you win. I feel like so. I really hope we can do that. I haven't won a fair yet.
Circling back to an eco mod now, what is the biggest difference between an eco mod and a B mod, would you say? Because the B mods was started off when they were evented kind of as an eco mod, but then, as they took turns, now they're building chassis for B mods. And now you can easily go spend $60,000 just on a B mod chassis, probably.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is we get to run a wing. We get the option to run a 5-inch wing. That's what B mods used to have. I think the last year they had was 2013. That was the year my dad won national points, and he had a wing. And they were all kind of upset when they got the wings taken away because it just changes the car so much. And we think with the wing on, it helps a lot. So I'd say the biggest difference is the wing.
Also in eco mods, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't race new tires, and you can run the same size of motor, but it has to have a restrictor plate. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can't run new tires. They have to be on under 80% from brand new. And then yeah, we have to you could take a huge KS motor in brand new. You could put that in, but you still have to run a restrictor plate. So that just slows it down a lot. Takes a lot of horsepower away.
So, with your dad having a B mod this season and you having eco mod, would you say that the eco mod is more of the efficient way of cost savings effect of racing?
I mean, I I don't know if you could say that. I mean, my dad, so he pays for it all. So I don't know. I suppose I don't I don't have a good motor at all. I got a motor to race. That's all about all it is. It's a 15-year-old crate motor. Nothing nothing too fancy. And it came with that first mod we bought, so we haven't had to buy a new one yet. And dad just bought one a couple months ago, I'd say. So that was pretty that's probably the biggest price difference in the cars is he had to get a bigger motor to try to run with Cobden and Modry and all the other top five drivers that are around.
Because it's tough to run crate and B mod and compete anymore, as a lot of people are figuring out, I think. But what is what would you say is your biggest challenge in the eco mod division? So, if you could, you're the biggest challenge in the eco mod division from going from track to track if you were to go to Chateau or Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
I I just think it's the experience because of I we most of us Ecomod guys we haven't raced for that long, so when we go to different tracks, it's like trying a whole new thing. So you go to MTS, they got their tracks banked up. It's usually really smooth. It gets nice and slick, and it's just man, it's really banked up. The core, it's been really smooth. It's been great, but sometimes it's either slick or tacky. But the biggest difference between that and MTS is it's a little flatter, I'd say, so it's not as banked.
Now, you said you have a 15-year motor in your car, but what kind of a chassis are you running this year?
So I'm running a Fury chassis, and they're not really known for much USRA B mod racing. They're all IMCA Sport Mod, IMCA A mod. So I think that's pretty cool that me and Dad were able to get this one on a great deal and make it pretty fast in the Eco mod class.
Where is Fury chassis out of?
Uh I don't know off the top of my head if I'm going to be honest. It's it's not in Iowa. Maybe Nebraska. I think I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Now, I see your nickname is Pocket Rocket. Where does that come from?
Well, um, my nickname the past 2 years was Skyrocket, and ever since I've been in a mod, it just if I have Skyrocket on the bottom, people are gonna think I'm driving a Skyrocket chassis. So I was just brainstorming one day about like nicknames, some that would be funny too, and Pocket Rocket came to my mind. I wanted to keep Rocket in the name for Rocket Man, like my dad's nickname, but somehow I found Pocket Rocket, and I think I'll probably change it next year.
So, what are your racing intentions for going forward this year, and what do you have to do to contain the points championship at the Winneshiek Raceway?
Oh, I just think we gotta stay smooth and stay out of trouble. I don't want to, definitely can't wreck. That's the biggest part. Just gotta try to keep space between people, be really clean and really smooth, and make sure I don't get caught up in any wrecks. I'd say That's the biggest goal.
What are your racing goals for your racing career? Maybe moving up into other bigger divisions or staying where you're at? What are your goals in your racing career?
I've always had a thing for the USRA mods, so one day I hope I can drive one of those things. I think they're pretty sweet. They're always on the bars.
You think you're gonna head out and run some USMTS possibly someday, or
Someday, if I can prove myself in a sport mod or B mod. And if I ever show that I'm a wild driver, I think someday I could get an A mod. Of course, if I start making a good amount of money, but yeah, that's the goal.
So my next question is could you go and run your eco mod in a B mod, you think, and be competitive?
If we had to run the restrictor play, if we had to run the restrictor play and the cheaper shocks and the 514 gear, I don't know if we could really compete with them, but if they let us keep the wing on, if they let me run fully as my car is right now, I think I could maybe be a maybe a back of the pack to mid pack car because we're turning down decently fast lap times with the wing. So maybe, who knows?
Do you have any intentions of maybe hitting some of the bigger B mod races this year before the season's done with your car, or maybe taking the eco mod out to some bigger races?
Yeah, I think we're thinking about taking my car and dad's car. I turned my car into a fully legal Beamer. I think we were thinking about taking it up to the Jamboree, or if we don't do that, I'm sure I'll get at least one B mod race in to see how that is, see if I'm ready to move up.
Who are some sponsors that you have to thank on that 476 XX hot rod?
Um, Oak Ridge with Megan Weedo, she paid for my whole wrap, and Crown Electric, Dallas, he always helps out a lot and everything. And then Cody Klecky Logging, he's been around with us for a long time. A&J's Bouncy House, Clark Renovations, and Bruce Hovey, my great uncle. He's been bringing the race car to Cora when me and Dad want to run both in the same night. So that's a big help. And yeah, we got a lot of sponsors, just a lot of friends too. A lot of friends that help give us advice and give us tips to set up the car and try new stuff. So just really everyone.
And if people want to find some 476 XX merch, where can they do that at?
So we had a website. I think it was Optic Inc. I believe that's the name. The You can't order it anymore, but I think we might reopen it sometime before summer ends. I don't know for sure, but that was just what was in the talks.
So if fans want to come down and have a word with you and get to know you after the races, would they be able to do so after each race?
Oh yeah, we always hang around for a little bit, and I enjoy talking to a bunch of the people that come to the pits. I always think it's fun to chat with them.
All right, Skylar, thank you for your time, and you've been listening to Rev It Up's Under the Helmet, Episode 5. See you next time, and keep in tune to Rev It Up on YouTube. You've been listening to Rev It Up. To keep more up to date with Rev It Up, like, subscribe, and head over to Facebook and follow Rev It Up Podcast. You've been listening to an edition of Rev It Up.